Hey guys, Pro1701 here with a Patreon exclusive video, and today we're going to talk about two stories in Doctor Who that I appreciated more on second viewing, or I should say repeat viewings, especially in one of them's case, because it does get better each time I watch it. But sometimes there are those Doctor Who stories that maybe you don't like the first time, or you like but they're just okay the first time, but after you watch them maybe a second time or more than that, they just kind of grow on you and you appreciate them more. Now, I've got a main video coming out on the actual channel. I'm running so ahead in videos, it won't launch there until sometime in June, actually. Talking about 3 of these stories, because this was originally a 5-story list. But I wanted to give something extra for you guys, because I really appreciate your continued support. So I did go ahead and split that off to where I did 3 there and 2 here just for y'all. And we're going to do one classic and one modern. We're going to start with the modern one, which is Robots of Sherwood. The first time I watched Robots of Sherwood, I didn't really care for it much because it is objectively kind of odd. And it doesn't make sense. I mean, wait, Robin Hood's a real character now? Robin Hood's supposed to be just a myth folklore like the Doctor says, and suddenly he's real? And then the way they beat it at the end with the gold arrow shot, it's really weird and contrived and doesn't make a lot of sense. It's not good storytelling, to be honest. The reason I like it is because it's funny. It's one of those filler episodes that you don't need to take too seriously, kind of like the Crimson Horror and the Unicorn and the Wasp. And I tend to like those episodes because, well, I like funny things. One of my favorite movies of all time is Clue, which is a funny movie. It's an intelligently funny movie, but it's a funny movie. I like stuff like that. So this one has a lot of humorous moments. I like that Capaldi in this one, especially Series 8 Capaldi, where he's kind of the serious, grumpy old man, am I a good man type. He's actually very childish in this episode, extremely childish. Him and Robin argue like 5-year-olds. It has some amusing moments. I am the Doctor, and this is my spoon. And I like that he beats him with the spoon. That's funny. And when they're sitting there having the archery contest, and the Doctor just gets frustrated and blows it up with a sonic. Oh, it doesn't really matter. And he just blows the thing. It's funny. And then when they're in the cell together and Clara's pretty much having to play mom to them, like two brothers squabbling. And they're like, well, if you think you're going out, and when like Robin's calling him an old man, you think, oh, you think you're going to outlive me? Well, you'll find I have a genetic advantage. That whole bit is hilarious to me. Hilarious. I enjoyed it for that silliness. The bit when he talks about, well, if you are real, you'll only be alive 6 months. And then he talks about some or another for all of your lives. In some of our cases, 6 months. Little things like that. Capaldi just seems like he's having fun with this story. And Capaldi's such a good actor that I pretty much can enjoy Capaldi in any of his episodes. Even his terrible episodes, I like Capaldi in. And he just seems to be having a ball here. And then I like finding out at the end that the woman we see the whole story actually turns out to be Marion. I didn't see that twist coming, so when it actually happened, I was like, they got me. They actually got me. Fair enough. So I actually do. It's like every time I rewatch this episode, I like it a little more. It's not essential viewing, but it's fun. It doesn't make sense. It's weird. And if you sit there and try to analyze it, you realize it's objectively pretty bad. But it's fun and silly, and I love it. The classic story we're going to talk about is The Mysterious Planet, which I've talked about before that I really enjoyed this one. This one's interesting because I'd only watched it once before this last rewatch. I'd watched it, and it was extremely forgettable to me because I couldn't really remember what happened in it. It was a lot like Terminus. Very forgettable. I couldn't remember it. I had watched it on BritBox a few years back, and when I got my season 23 box set, I even skipped it and went right to Mind Warped and just watched the last 3 stories because I didn't think it was that good. I finally went back and rewatched it. I think it might have been a vote from the channel, or it might have just been me wanting to do a review of something I hadn't seen in a while. I went back and rewatched it. My goodness, it's my favorite of season 23 now. First off, the incidental music is fantastic. I love the incidental music in The Mysterious Planet. It's really, really good. 2, I like that the relationship between Perry and the Sixth Doctor is a lot better here. You kind of get the implication that a fair amount of time has passed between the end of season 22 and the beginning of season 23, because they do get on much better here. Matter of fact, I wish we had gotten more of them together in season 23. One, just because I don't like Mel, and two, because I would have liked to have seen more of this kind of relationship they have in the story. Like when they're walking in the woods, and instead of like arguing, they're playfully bantering with each other. I think one of them even ribs the other, like literally just playfully elbows the other at one point while they're talking. I love that little playful banter they had. And I wish we could have seen more of it. Plus, it has Glitz in it. I love Glitz. Tony does such a good job of Glitz. I mean, he's obviously not a good person, but he's just this lovable rogue that you just like. I always enjoy Glitz. I was so glad. He's part of the reason I love Dragonfire, too. It's nice that I actually got to see Glitz interact with two different doctors. I know Glitz also comes back in Ultimate Foe. I just really like him as a character, because even though he's morally not a very good person, the way Tony plays him still makes you just like the guy. He sold his entire crew? Ah, it's alright. And then I like Dibber as well. Although, knowing Glitz, I feel like Dibber probably didn't end up too well. But it's funny. I don't know why. I like Glitz. So I have this perfect storm of things I like going on in this episode. Plus, it's a good story as well. I actually like the script. It's a Robert Holmes script. And while I'm not saying it's one of Robert Holmes' masterpieces, it's not a grand slam. I'm not even going to say it's a home run. But it's a nice hit. It is. It is a good, solid story. The robots in it aren't the best, but they aren't the worst. They're okay. I like the woman playing kind of the lead one on the service who reads the flames. She's fine in it. I enjoy Mysterious Planet. It's easily my favorite of season 23, at least at the moment. So, that's just kind of me talking about two Doctor Who stories that I appreciate more on rewatch. I just like them more now than I used to. So I'd like to know what you think of these two stories. So comment down below. And yeah, I had to get in the Whittaker screwdriver. I figured Steven would get a kick out of it. I know how much he likes Whittaker's Doctor, so I figured he'd appreciate it. Anyway, as always, I appreciate the continued support, and thank you for watching.